Okay, let's talk about one of the greatest villains ever put on screen, the Joker. And there's this weird paradox with him, right? We find ourselves respecting him, a character we should absolutely despise. But it's not because he has some secret heart of gold or anything like that. No, we respect him because he's playing a completely different game from everyone else.
So yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? Why do we admire a guy who just wants to watch the world burn? I mean, think about it. Most villains, they want money, they want power, maybe some classic revenge. It's predictable. The Joker, he couldn't care less about any of that. What he wants is to prove that the hero's world, our world, is just a big, fat lie. A fragile little house of cards that's just one bad day away from tumbling down. All right, so here's how we're going to break it down. We're going to look at 5 key things that explain this weird admiration. First, just how different a villain he is. Then his genius for chaos. Third, his anarchist argument that kind of makes sense. We'll also get into the power of having no identity. And finally, the big one, he's a villain who actually wins.
Okay, let's jump right into that first point. The Joker is just a completely different kind of villain. He's not trying to outpunch Batman or take over Wayne Enterprises. This isn't about that. For him, it's a full-on philosophical war. He's fighting for the soul of Gotham. And you can really see the difference here. On one hand, you've got your typical bad guy goals, right? Money, power, revenge, stuff you can touch. But then you look at the Joker's column and it's all ideas. It's ideological. He sees Batman trying to force order onto this corrupt city and he's like, nope, I'm here to prove chaos is the way things are supposed to be. They're fighting for the same thing, just from completely opposite ends.
So how exactly does he fight this war of ideas? Well, with absolute chaotic genius. See, the Joker isn't just crazy. He is brilliant. And his plans, they're like these intricate little machines designed to take his enemies apart piece by piece from the inside.
I mean, just think about the opening scene of The Dark Knight. That bank heist is a perfect example. It's this beautiful, cascading series of betrayals where every guy is set up to take out the next one. In, 5 minutes, we learn everything we need to know. He's a master planner, he's completely ruthless, and he is absolutely fearless. What an incredible way to introduce a character.
But where his genius really shines is in how he goes after Batman. Seriously, it makes Batman look like he's playing checkers while the Joker is playing 4D chess. He doesn't even try to beat him physically. Why would he? Instead, he attacks Batman's code, his rules. He knows Batman has that famous one rule, no killing. So what does he do? He creates these awful no-win scenarios where Batman's refusal to kill actually leads to more death. Batman tries to scare him, the Joker just laughs in his face. He takes everything that makes Batman strong and turns it into a weapon against him.
And this all ties into his philosophy, which is honestly the most terrifying thing about him. Because on some level, we get it. We might not agree with his methods, but we understand his critique. He looks at the world, at all our rules and systems, and just sees a bad joke, a broken status quo that's about to fall apart.
And here's the proof that he means it. He's not in this for himself. This isn't about getting rich. Remember that scene? He gets his hands on this literal mountain of mob money. And what does he do? He just sets it on fire, burns it all. Why? Just to prove that he's serious. It was never about the money. It was about sending a message.
Alfred really nails it, doesn't he? Some men just want to watch the world burn. The Joker is basically a force of nature. He's operating on a level that's beyond our normal ideas of logic or motivation. He's just a pure agent of chaos. And there's something about that commitment, as horrifying as it is, that you just have to respect on some level.
Okay, this brings us to what might be his actual superpower. He has no identity, no past. You can't figure him out because there's nothing real to grab onto.
You know, in literature, there's this term unreliable narrator, and that is the Joker. 100%. He's telling the story of his own life, but you can't trust a single word. And in a genre that is obsessed with origin stories, right? The Joker just blows that whole idea up. His past isn't a story. It's a multiple choice question, and he's not giving you the answer key.
I mean, it's the classic question, isn't it? Want to know how I got these scars? And every single time he starts that story, you can't help but lean in, thinking, okay, maybe this time, this is the one. This is the truth that explains everything. But he never gives it to you. One minute, it's a horrible story about his father. The next, it's this tragic tale about his wife.
He changes his own origin story depending on who he's talking to, just to get under their skin. See, his past isn't something that happened to him. It's a weapon that he uses. And that right there is his real superpower. Because if we knew his real story, if we could slap a diagnosis on him, he'd suddenly become predictable. We could put him in a little box. But because he's a total mystery, a blank slate, he stays this unpredictable, terrifying force.
All right, this brings us to the last point, and maybe the biggest reason of all. Unlike pretty much every other comic book villain you can think of, the Joker actually wins. He gets what he wants.
Think about the end of The Dark Knight. The real conflict wasn't about Batman catching the Joker. It was a high-stakes bet for the soul of Harvey Dent. Batman's bet was that Harvey, Gotham's White Knight, could be the city's symbol of hope. The Joker's bet? That he could take that symbol and shatter it. And the Joker won the bet. He took Gotham's best and brightest, this beacon of hope and order, and he broke him. He twisted him into the vengeful monster, Two-Face. The Joker didn't just win a fight. He won the entire war for Gotham's soul. Even Batman has to admit it. The Joker's goal was never to escape or take over. His victory was proving his twisted philosophy right. He destroyed Gotham's hope and forced its hero into hiding. He won. And that's really what it all boils down to. The reason we have this strange respect for him is that his goals are intellectual. He's the ultimate villain because he doesn't measure victory in dead bodies or stacks of cash. He measures it in proving his argument. He wants to win the debate about what humanity is really like. And in The Dark Knight, he absolutely does.
So let me leave you with this final idea. Think of the Joker like a wildfire tearing through a dying forest. Yeah, the fire is destructive, it's terrifying for sure, but it also burns away all the rot, all the old dead wood. It clears everything out. He forces everyone, the heroes, us, to see the world without all the comfortable lies.